The cost of these lockdowns is $4 billion every single week. More than 1 million people are unemployed. Up to 6 million people are holding on by a thread when it comes to JobKeeper. Friday has to be go day. The Finance Minister is Matthias Cormann. We spoke from Canberra a bit earlier.
The short answer is, look, we all want to see economic restrictions eased as soon as possible, and as soon as possible means as soon as it is safe from a health point of view to do so. We've put measures in place to help our economy operate in a way that is COVID safe. That is why we want to, that's why we have been boosting our testing capacity. That is why we are boosting our capacity to respond to outbreaks more rapidly. And that is, of course, also why it is so important for as many Australians as possible to join in on the COVID Safe app, essentially so that we can both keep Australians safe, minimise the risk of a second wave, and reopen the economy in a way that is safe, as well as delivering all of the benefits in terms of jobs and return to economic growth as soon as possible.
Now, the Prime Minister's been very clear to say that it's business that's at the heart of this, not government. But interestingly, an opinion poll, yes, a lefty poll from the Australia Institute, but still, it showed that there was a significant number of people who think government should be at the heart of things. We saw today an Essential poll, again, another left-leaning one, in part funded by the union movement, saying that they want a permanent increase to Newstart. How hard is it going to be to tell people that the government's not always going to be there, that not every solution is a check here, because we all know how hard it is to take something away from people, even if you told them it was going to be temporary.
We're dealing with a very specific crisis caused by an external event beyond our control, and these are the moments when governments must step up, and our government has stepped up, providing additional support in terms of a significantly enhanced safety net, and also providing support to business, the economy, and support to maintain jobs. But in a business as usual situation, it's very important that government doesn't get in the way of individual enterprise and private sector businesses delivering the level of innovation, progress and prosperity that only private sector businesses can reliably and sustainably deliver.
For your entire parliamentary career, it's been very clear what you've been all about, which is about trying to balance the books. You've made some incredibly tough choices over a very long period of time. It must feel a little bit like back to square one, or even worse than that at the moment, when we're staring down the barrel of debt and all the rest of it. But we all know why we're there. The truth is, if JobKeeper didn't exist, there'd be 4 million people on the unemployment queue. It'd be impossible for many people over the age of 40 to be able to return to the workforce with any speed. So the logic of why we are where we are is, of course, very clear. But we know what we have to do. We know about the laws that have to be repealed, the regulation that needs to be attacked to get the economy growing again. But you're going to have to get that through a Senate where if Labor says no and the Greens say no, you're down to, well, the same 5 people who could go in any direction. Have you been having many discussions with One Nation, Centre Alliance or Lambie, trying to set out the enormity of the task in front of us before we start to have concrete ideas?
Well, I mean, look, these are conversations that will be ongoing over the next few weeks and months as we, in particular, in the context of the budget in October, debate, I guess, the economic plan, our economic plan for the future. But let me just say, reflecting on the last 6.5 years in this job, I'm incredibly I feel a great sense of satisfaction and relief that we have been able to repair the budget over the first 6 years in government to the extent we have, because it meant that we went into this crisis in a much stronger economic and fiscal position than we otherwise would have. I mean, and as we said during that 6-year period, the reason we needed to repair our budget and get us in a position to get the budget back into surplus this financial year before all of this hit us was to put us in the strongest, most resilient position possible to deal with headwinds and external events. Now, nobody predicted an event of this magnitude, but it did meant that we were in a stronger position. Now, of course, at a moment like this, of course, government needs to step up, and we are able to afford to do what we're doing. But in the end, after all of this is behind us, and we've got the economy back growing again, we do need to dedicate ourselves to repairing our balance sheet, to repairing our budget, to make sure that we are in the best, strongest possible position again when any future event, hopefully not of this sort of magnitude, hits us from the outside.
Good man, glad he's there. Matthias Cormann, the Finance Minister of